So what are we talking about today?
We like action. We're all about action. And we're talking about why it's important to know your KPI.
Yeah, that's right. It's something that we see all the time in clients' accounts that we don't see them optimizing for the proper KPI. But before we talk about KPI, what the heck is a KPI?
KPI, it's a key performance indicator.
That's right. So it's the thing that you're trying to go after. So if you're aiming for, say you're an e-commerce store and you're aiming for purchases, that is your KPI.
Your KPI is going to be, it could be a few. It could be volume of purchase. It could be size of purchase. It could be number of purchase per customer.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have these things defined, because if you're operating based off of multiple KPIs, it can be hard to know which actions to take. I mean, one thing might look great and the other thing might look bad. Do you really care about the thing that looks great if it's not actually part of your KPI?
Yeah.
Awareness is awesome, but if awareness is not part of your KPIs, then guess what? You're wasting your time going after awareness.
Totally. Let's get down to the practicality of this. What's a KPI that we don't want to optimize for?
When we're scaling businesses, well, again, it really depends on the business goal.
I'd like to talk about one.
Go for it.
I went in and did an audit on an account the other day, and they had a return on ad spend of about 4 before a new agency took over. And then the new agency came in, and the return on ad spend went from 4 down to 1. So I was trying to figure out what happened in this whole transition. Well, what happened was they started optimizing for landing page views in Facebook ads.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's great if having more landing page views, is your KPI and helps you to achieve your goal.
And sometimes you may actually need to start out, if you have a brand new Facebook pixel, you may need to start out with that as your KPI.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Right?
It might be the first phase of a multi-phase strategy that way.
Now the problem is, what you're doing is you're telling Facebook, hey Facebook, go out and get me all of these people who are going to land on my page and view it. Right? You're not saying go out and get me purchasers, go out and get me people who are going to add to cart or initiate checkout. You're saying go get me people who are going to look at my page.
And then that algorithm is just, it's going to think that this is what this account wants, this is what this campaign and this ad group wants, and so everything that they do, I'm going to try to optimize for landing page view. And if that's not the main KPI, you're going to be out of luck.
Yeah, that's right. So figure out what your KPI is. How do we do that? What do we figure out?
Well, again, it's going to come down to goals. What are you trying to achieve? What is your product? Are you trying to sell? Are you selling a product? Are you trying to book appointments? Are you trying to get leads? Like what?
Yeah.
It really depends. That's why it's so important to know it before you start. Otherwise, you're just throwing money at anything and everything.
Totally. Let's talk about a good example of different types of KPIs. So Coca-Cola, what is their main KPI when they're looking at their marketing?
Well, it's definitely going to be eyeballs and being top of mind at all times, because Coca-Cola isn't really a direct seller in most cases anyway. So they're not looking to have people buy Coca-Cola off them. They're looking to make sure that their vendors who carry Coca-Cola are always running out of stock so that Coca-Cola can come and sell them more products. So
that's right.
They want to have as many eyeballs. They want people to be top of mind, or they want Coca-Cola to be top of mind with their ideal clients, which they try to convince the world is everybody.
Totally. So, for instance, for somebody like Coca-Cola, if we were to say run a Facebook campaign for them and optimize for purchases, we'd be completely off. Right?
We would be off. It would be a waste of money. It wouldn't be on with the KPI. They wouldn't be achieving their goal outright. We might make them some sales. I mean, people know and love Coca-Cola. It would probably be an easy account to run, but that's not aligned with the goals. And ultimately, even though your numbers would look good, it would be a failure.
Yeah, and you heard it here, folks. The Coca-Cola account would be an easy one to run.
An easy
Sean
one.
Lang. Let's do a different example of a KPI. So let's talk about a construction company. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is their KPI a purchase?
Well, they definitely want to sell hard hats. No, that would be a completely different play. A construction company, their lifeblood is going to be phone calls and people who say, I need this done, or I have this problem. What can you do for me? So they need to get people on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. So for them, their KPI would either be phone calls or leads.
Phone calls, leads, form fills, get quote, anything, or it could even be getting on a list where they can then have some sort of journey or a funnel where they nurture them and teach them more about proper ways to sort of run or approach problems, in which case, at the end of the day, someone says, construction company A, they just know so much. They've been teaching me so much that I'm going to hire them for this multi-million-dollar project that the city planner has been on my back to get a construction company for.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about a third type of business, just so we can kind of round it out for people here. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about lots of the people who listen to this are e-commerce store owners. So for e-commerce store owners, what's the type of KPI that they're looking at?
I feel like this is, right now anyway, this is our favorite kind of KPI. And this is ROAS, also known as ROAS, also known as return on ad spend. What does that mean?
Well, essentially, it's for every dollar that you put into your marketing, how much you're getting out. So for us, we aim to be anywhere 5 plus. So for every dollar that we put in, we try and get at least $5 out. And at that point, you can really scale up your marketing. But for us, the KPIs that we're looking at are purchases, right? That's the KPI, the return on ad spend, those purchases. Now, it's not just straight purchases, right? Because a $20 purchase is a lot different than a $100 purchase.
And it also is really going to depend on what kind of margins these products have. Do they all have the same margin? Do certain products have greater margin and less margin? So this will also... It'll also be important to know this, to know how to interpret your KPI and what it means, because a 7.0 ROAS on a certain product might not be nearly as good as a 4.0 ROAS on a different product, depending on what the margins are. And
right? Yeah, for sure. Also looking at like a product that costs in the thousands, right? We're going to be looking at totally different metrics, but this all comes down to the fact that you need to know what your KPI is before you do any marketing on your own. Figure out what that is, figure out what you're aiming for, and where people are in the journey.
If you're driving down the road, are you actually looking out the windshield and making sure that you are within the dotted lines or not? Think of your KPI as that destination at the end. Not really a destination, but like the lines that keep you along the path. And if you don't even know where they are, you're not going to end up at that destination that you want to get to.
Yeah, that's right. We hope that this has been helpful. Hopefully you guys can go out and identify your KPI. If you don't know what your KPI is and you're completely stuck, send us an email. Go to mindfulmarketing.co. Send us an email. We can help you out with that. We hope that you learned a lot today. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Secrets to Scaling Online. If you're loving what you're hearing, subscribe to our podcast and share this with a friend. No, seriously, share it with a friend. No, if you don't, I'm going to find you and I'm going to make you profitable. Got it? No, seriously.